Okay, in this video we're going to continue on with the foundation drawings with the small house or the simple house start of architecture home. And we're going to continue by adding a 4-inch concrete slab with wire mesh, 2B stone gravel, and 2B stone gravel underneath of the home. And then we're going to go and set up both these sheets. So we have both of the sheets set up here for a foundation view drawing and a detail wall section. So we're going to go ahead and jump back here into Revit. And last thing we did was create a 24-inch concrete footer and add that underneath of our foundation wall. Now we're ready to go ahead and set up a 4-inch concrete slab basement. So the basement concrete slab is actually going to sit on the BO foundation level. So I'm going to close this BO footer level and I'm going to jump into my BO foundation level. But I'm going to have to go back and change up my view range here because I do not need to be seeing all the walls I'm looking at here. So remember, I moved that view range up here to 10 feet and 9.6. So I'm going to drop that down into this range. So above this BO foundation, I need to change this to say, make this like 3 feet, and I can go ahead and change this up to be about 2 feet and then hit apply. And then once I do that, you can see that my foundation has changed back up here to just a standard foundation wall. All right, so with that set up in place, I can go ahead and start adding my concrete slab. So let's go ahead and build a slab. Go back to the architecture tab. We'll go ahead and hit the floor tool and pull down here. It looks like I have one in here, but let's go ahead and build one. So I'll just go find anything here, generic 12-inch floor, edit the type. We'll duplicate and we'll go ahead and create a 4-inch concrete slab. And then we also want to have that there's going to be width 6-inch, call it 6-inch wire mesh. All right, so that's what's the call out's going to look like. In fact, hit OK, and that's the name. Duplicate. So now we're jumping here to edit, and now we just go in here and grab our concrete pieces. So we'll grab concrete, and here's concrete, and I already have that 4-inch concrete with wire mesh built up. We already know how to duplicate things, so we'll utilize that. We'll jump into identity here, 4-inch concrete with wire mesh. Let's actually put in there 6-inch wire mesh, and we'll make sure that says the same thing there, 6-inch wire mesh, and make sure that's all set. That's good. We'll hit apply, and we'll go ahead and hit OK. Now with that set, our thickness gets changed, and now I'm ready to add an additional layer, and that's when this layer is going to come in here, and it's going to be stone, and that's because we're going to get 2B gravel underneath of our stone. Now 2B gravel is not in here. I duplicated this from another item, so I duplicated stone, jumped in here. Make sure you change the name and the description so that changes up, and in fact, you probably even duplicate, does it have gravel in here? Yeah, so gravel came up down here, so I'll actually upload that in. Believe I used gravel to make my duplication to get stone gravel. So if you needed to do that, you can hit the duplicate and you have gravel, and then just change the name. So when you do that, make sure it says 2B stone gravel, and we're good to go here. Hit apply, hit OK, and then that's going to be a 4-inch layer also. All right, now we could insert and we could add our vapor barrier here, so that would become a membrane layer, and then we're going to go ahead and call this the membrane. There's our 6mm vapor barrier membrane. Now I went ahead and used this EDM membrane, and I duplicated that and then changed the name to be 6mm vapor barrier. So I've gone ahead and done that because that would be the thickness of the vapor barrier going underneath of my concrete. So we'll go ahead and create that, and that vapor barrier membrane actually has a 0 layer if it is a membrane. Okay, the actual thickness is like 6/1000ths of an inch, and if you try to add that to Revit, it won't take 6/1000ths of an inch unless you change your settings and everything else. So for now, just leave this as a 6mm vapor barrier with 0 thickness. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. With that set up, we'll go ahead and hit OK again. This is our concrete floor here where that's all set and ready to go. So we could go ahead and start setting up our boundary line. So we click on that outside wall, click on this outside wall, this outside wall, and set this up so that the line is running on the inside of that outside foundation wall. And then you can see in the detail section view where that line stops. Okay, so now we're ready to go. Hit the green check. It says, do you want that walls? I just like to say no at this point because I want to control some more of this. So now with the concrete set, I need to now move my concrete slab up because that concrete slab is actually going to sit on that footer. Now this is a very simple wall. There's no insulation involved in here, any rigid foam. We'll get to that a little later. But for now, we're going to go ahead and move this up in its position. So I'm going to do a height offset from level, and we're going to height offset that by 4 inches. That pushes that concrete slab up so it sits on the footer. The stone layer right here, that stone layer, needs to be cleaned up with the footer. So what we have to do is we need to join these together. Joining these, I'm going to go ahead and grab the floor, grab the join tool, and then I just need to select these again like this and set this up. Now, notice how this join, it actually got rid of the footer, not the stone. So we need to make a little change here. So we can't have that happen, right? So we're going to go ahead and pull down the join tool, and we should be able to switch the order that they join up here. By doing that and actually using that switch tool, it just swaps the order. So in the join tool, you have join, unjoin, and switch join order. So after they're joined, you can swap them out by selecting both of them. So that's set up. So let's just see how the material tag is going to lay out here. So grab annotate, grab that material tag tool, and there's my 4-inch concrete with 6-inch wire mesh. And then there's my 2B stone gravel. Now, the only issue that I see here is I cannot grab, no matter how close I get, the membrane. Okay, so that's something where without having a thickness, unfortunately, we just need to go ahead and grab our text tool, and then we just need to then create text. Now, we can grab a leader, and then we can actually draw this in here like this, and then type this in, that this is going to be a 6 mil vapor barrier. Let's do B-A-R-I-R. All right, so we got 6 mil vapor barrier in place. The only difference here is that you can see one has an arrow and the other doesn't, but it is now labeled. So with that set up, we've got our detail view. Now we're ready to start looking at how do we lay this out for a sheet, because we need to be able to set up the sheets, because although this Revit model's very neat, unless you can create sheets, then it's fairly worthless and that you're not communicating the information. So we need to set up a foundation view and pull this detail wall onto a sheet. So we're going to have to make 2 new sheets and then set up the views here. So we'll go back to Revit, and over here I'll slide down to my sheets, right click, new sheet, and we're going to find the 8.5 by 11 GASD title block, and we'll go ahead and just grab 2 of those right off the bat. 2 of those. All right, and now I'm ready to go ahead and set up my first sheet. So we'll find that detail wall section, we'll drag that on and drop that in position. Now we just need to adjust some things. So I'm going to actually close this one so I have a little more room to work here. And then I'm going to activate the view, activate the viewport, and then I want to take and move up this little crop view. If this crop doesn't show up, you need to come over here and check these 3 little boxes. Okay, check those boxes and then your crop view should show up. The inside view is the crop for the wall. The outside box is for the annotation. So anything that may run outside of that box can still show up if it is not outside of that annotation box. All right. So with that, this thing should, I would hope, just barely fit here on my page. Whoops, I'm just moving my crop, not moving my view because I have to deactivate the view. And then I can now move the whole view so it should fit onto the page. Sometimes I find it easier to select the title block and move the title block around instead of trying to move the view itself. So with that, it does fit on the page. Gypsum wallboard, the 2x6 stud, it does fit, making sure nothing runs off the page. And then the last thing is I got to get this view label, this detail wall section, up onto the page. So I'm going to select that by itself, and then I should be able to just drag that up onto the page. And then while that is still selected, or I can just select it once by itself again, and then select the view, I get that dot. And then I can shrink that view identifier line. Now I'm ready to go ahead and set up my foundation wall. Well, one more thing, got to name this here. So this is called detail wall section. All right, that's done. And I also need to be able to put my name, my date, and all this stuff in here, because that's also important that you have that information in here. Okay, so then we come back out here. Let's jump into the sheet. So we'll go into this unnamed sheet, and this is where we're going to go ahead and pull one of our views over onto the sheet. Now, so BO Foundation is set up right now so that we cannot see the footer or that slab. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to the view range. We're going to adjust this view range right now. So we're going to keep the top up here with the BO Foundation for the cut plane, but we're going to take the bottom below, so level below BO footer, and the level below, which is BO footer. When I apply to that, you can see that that footer pops up. I'll hit OK. And you can see now that what we can do is if I tag this footer, I can actually tag and see that that is the footer. That's great. Let's just keep rolling through here. This is our CMU wall. We'll go ahead and tag that right now. And then we can also see that this is our concrete slab. Now, we could go ahead and tag it, not a problem. Now, the only problem with this is that we do not see the footer underneath of here. We need to show that. So we need to take care of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the walls and the corner of this concrete slab. I'm going to hit my filter button, and I'm going to turn off the walls. I don't want the walls, but I do want the floor. So I'll hit apply, hit OK. Then I'm going to make this floor transparent so I can see through it and see that footer line. So we're going to right click, override graphics by element, and we're going to make this surface pattern. Here it is, surface transparency. We're going to go ahead and make that 100. So when I hit OK or hit apply, I can see directly through the floor. The floor's still there. I'm just looking through it. So we'll hit OK. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to select the footer, right click, select all in the view. So we see all of them. And now we're going to make those hidden lines. So we're going to right click, override graphics by element, and then we're going to come into the projection lines, pull down the pattern, and we want to find hidden 1/16. We find that, we hit apply, we hit OK. So a few more things to add to this. So we're going to grab the align dimension tool, and we're just going to dimension from one foundation wall to the other. Since it's square, you don't necessarily need to dimension them all. And what we're now seeing here, this is now set up so that we've got the dash hidden lines for all of the footers. We have the 20-foot 5-inch wall. Remember, that's 20-foot 5 inches because, not 20-foot 6 inches, because we are smaller than the outside sheathing layer, because the sheathing is actually overhanging the foundation. So as it rains, rain would run down here and drip off, and that moisture from the foundation is not being wicked up into the sheathing layer. Okay, there would be a flashing piece that would run across here and angle down and out, so that flashing would be taking care of any shedding any water as well. So that would take care of that. So anyway, in any event, that's what we'd be setting up for the foundation wall. So I'm just going to jump back in here and make sure. Oh, I didn't drag it onto the sheet. So what we did is I actually set this up here in BO Foundation. Now I'm going to go ahead and we'll drag it onto the sheet. So we'll grab back here to the sheet, and I'll go ahead and take that BO Foundation and drag that onto the sheet here. And I want to make sure that this is going to fit at that 1/4 inch equals a foot scale, because it should be set to 1/4 inch equals a foot. Might have to then select and move my title block up a little bit so everything fits nice and neat. There's my section view, my detail section view, and that's being taken care of, and that's set up as one view 1 on sheet A110. And then we'll go ahead and grab our view identifier and drag that onto the sheet. All right. Okay, now that I'll set up, what we could do is just jump back here into the assignment, and this is going to be another progress check here for the assignment, where we're then going to turn in these 2 sheets. You're going to PDF these sheets, making sure that you have all the information down here in the rubric. So go back and reference the assignment sheet. And then the next piece, we'll jump into beams and other aspects of the foundation.